We start overnight news. A hay fire in Valencia County here lit up the night sky. It happened off Highway 314 in Los Chavez just before midnight. It looks like the fire started in a hay barn at Toby's Doors. Firefighters rushed out there. They found that barn full of flames. The big problem here is it's attached to a business. So firefighters went to work quite quickly to try to keep that fire from spreading. It looks like they were very successful with that, although there probably is some smoke damage to the business. Also, a front end loader was out here working with crews to hauling out the smoldering hay. Firefighters working all night long on this one. And happening now, sheriff's deputies still searching for whoever is behind a deadly triple shooting just south of Albuquerque. It's a case we could learn more later today. News 13's David Romero is live in a Newsplex with the latest. Good morning once again, David.
Good morning, Matt. The shooting happened early Saturday morning in rural Valencia County and still has many there shocked.
I don't know, we'd want to hurt him like that. And his family, they're all good people.
Valencia County deputies say the shooting happened in Jarales, just south of Belen. Wesley Hobbs was shot twice in the head and died. He was 54 years old. At last word, his daughter Amanda Hobbs, 24 years old, is in critical condition at UNM Hospital. Patricia Hobbs was shot too and is now out of the hospital. Valencia County Sheriff Louis Burkhart couldn't say whether this was a targeted or random shooting. He says none of the injuries appear self-inflicted and that Amanda and Patricia are not suspects.
We haven't established a clear motive for the shootings at this time, but we are working some leads and working on obtaining some search warrants.
Burkhart says it's not clear what type of gun was used and says it doesn't appear whoever did the shooting forced their way into the home. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you for the update, David. A neighbor says the family also had a son who was up camping in the Jemez this weekend, and we do not know if he's been told about his family just yet. We'll have much more in this case later today here on News 13, also anytime at KRQE.com. 6:03 this morning, President Barack Obama is hitting the airwaves trying to convince war-weary Americans that strikes against Syria's President Bashar al-Assad are needed for the long-term safety of the United States. Congress, reluctant to make those strikes, is expecting to hear from top administration officials today as the White House makes its case for limited military strikes. The president's administration is telling Congress and the public that any action against Syria would not be like the open-ended commitments the U.S. made in Iraq or Afghanistan, probably be more like what happened in Libya. President Obama plans to make the case directly in 6 TV interviews today and in a rare primetime speech tomorrow. Now, legislators who remain skeptical could start voting on this, particularly in the Senate, as early as Wednesday. Well, U.S. Senator Tom Udall from here in New Mexico was the only Democrat on the Foreign Relations Subcommittee to vote against the resolution to authorize those strikes in Syria. This was last week. Listen.
It's clear to me that we don't want to get embroiled in another civil war. I don't think lobbing in a couple of Tomahawk missiles is the way to go.
This is in Albuquerque on Saturday. The senator says an overwhelming number of New Mexicans he has talked with do not want a war with Syria. Senator Udall is pushing for a diplomatic approach in addition to calling for international military action. He's also calling for stronger sanctions against Syria, but he says the U.S. needs to take on the countries standing in the way of international action.
We're going to have to take on Russia. Russia is the one country that's really holding us up from acting in a collective way. And so we're going to have to take them on and embarrass them and shame them.
Fellow Senator Martin Heinrich is also against the current Syrian strike resolution in the House. Only Republican Congressman Steve Pierce has weighed in, saying intervention would be wrong. Congresswoman Michelle Lujan Grisham announced an online strike survey, Syria strike survey last week. Senator Martin Heinrich and Congressman Ben Ray Lujan are asking folks to contact their offices and voice their opinions on this issue. Congressman Steve Pierce is holding town hall meetings. He's quite a lot on social media, particularly Twitter. And of course, Senator Tom Udall, as you already heard, has already voted against the strike. That was in the subcommittee vote. Well, a military family here in New Mexico is now looking for answers after their dog was poisoned in their yard. Her owners say a 3.5-year-old lab mix here appeared to be in pain one morning and couldn't use her back legs. They drove her to a vet in Santa Fe to learn honey had somehow gotten rat poisoning in her. It was a green poison, and it was found mixed with chicken in the dog's bowl in their yard in the Espanola Valley. So Honey's owner here, David Maestas, says he has no idea who would do something like this.
If they're capable of trying to harm a dog, in a sense like that, then what's to stop them from trying to harm somebody else in the neighborhood? So it's kind of disconcerting to think that someone's capable of doing something like that to an animal.
That's a good question. So far, investigators have not said who they think might have done this. According to the Albuquerque Journal this morning, wildlife rescue groups are not able to do as much rescuing right now. The problem is a fear of rabies, and it's spreading. The Journal reports that State Game and Fish ordered back in June that no raccoons or foxes be released back into the wild, and it's even euthanizing any nuisance animals. It captures skunks, coyotes, bats, and sometimes bobcats fall under this umbrella. Well, this week is the second annual Firefighters and Emergency Medical Team Expo at the Firefighters Training Academy in Socorro. It's going to showcase intense fire rescue and EMS training exercises, as well as a terrorist incident response course. A special 9/11 memorial ceremony will be on Wednesday. Skills competitions and demonstrations will also be there. Everything is open to the public. Go check out New Mexico Fire Academy website for a schedule.